I'm really excited to take us to the next stage. I'm going to introduce our illustrious President Harvey. I feel like he's someone that doesn't really need a large introduction, at least in this audience, because we all know who he is. So I'm going to pass the mic, as they say in the music industry, to President Harvey. Thank you so much, Dr. Harvey.
Well, it is my pleasure. So let me say good afternoon to you, President Pendleton, as well as the Hampton University alumni. It really is good to be with you this afternoon, but quite frankly, I'd rather be with you in person, but COVID-19 won't allow us to do that just yet. Let's hope fairly soon there will be an opportunity for us to get together. And I want to welcome everybody to this 14th biennial convention of the National Hampton Alumni Association Incorporated. Well, as all of you know, this past 6 to 8 months have been pretty devastating to the world, to the country, and to Hampton University. It's been different. It's been different. It's required all of us to do things differently, both personally and professionally. Here at Hampton, what we have done is to try to get ahead of what was going on. So back as early as the end of February, the 1st of March, when this thing seemed to have been spiking, I appointed 3 committees. The first committee was the Infectious Disease and Prevention Committee, chaired by Dr. Barbara Inman. And they had the responsibility of looking at their name, infectious diseases, and see what could we do here at Hampton to get ahead of this. The second committee was the Financial Stabilization Committee, and they had the task of looking at our finances as it related to the COVID-19. That was chaired by Mrs. Doretha Spells. The third committee was a transformational revitalization committee looking to our future. And that was chaired by Dr. Haysbert. And all of those committees started to work every day. I mean, every day they had meetings. And as a result, we got ahead of a lot of folk. You know, one of the things that we did early on was to say that we were not going to have in-person classes for the first semester. Now, you know, and I'm sure you heard some of this, there were critics. We were criticized, I was criticized, we were applauded, I was applauded. But the thing that I say to those critics as well as those that applauded, I treat those two imposters just the same, because what we are always going to do here in Hampton, and what we've done for my 43 years, is to do what we think is right and best. What I like to do is to get input from people, and we did that. We got input from students, from faculty, from some alumni, from the board, from others, and that's what we decided. We also decided that we were not going to have fall sports. We weren't going to have football. Well, there again, we got criticized and we got applauded. But the fact is, I want you to think about this. There is contact on every single play in football, no matter who has the ball. Every single play, who has the ball. And then there is an exchange of bodily fluids, blood, sweat, tears, and other bodily fluids. We made that decision. So many other institutions, including HBCUs, said that they were going to go on and play. Well, look at where we are now. The Big Ten is now saying they're not going to play. The Pac-12 and many other institutions, although there are some institutions that are going to play. There are those institutions that indicated that they were going to bring their students back. Well, look at those institutions now. You know it as well as I do. There are a number that have had over 1,000 cases, over 1,200 cases, and they're still talking about opening. Again, I want everybody to understand, we at Hampton want to do what is best and right, first of all, for our students. Secondly, faculty. And we got to take into consideration other people as well. For an example, the person in housekeeping that cleans the dormitories, the yard people, the staff, the clerical people, and we are going to try to do that. Now, one of the things we've said is that we will bring students back for in-person instruction in the spring if conditions permit. And we have done a great deal to try to make sure that once they get back, then we're going to try to be as safe as possible. Nobody can be 100% sure, but we've got things such as contact tracing in place. We've got temperature checking. We just so many things that we're doing, Promethean boards in classrooms and things like that. I heard there was a question about technology. Well, I gave $2.5 million to Dr. Alyssa Harrison to improve our technology. And that's going on and doing very, very well. So I think that we're going to be as ready as we can be. Is it going to be 100%? We don't know. We don't know. But we're going to try our darndest to try to make sure that our students, particularly our students, are here and are safe. So the fact is that we've had to make some hard choices. The Financial Stabilization Committee retrenched some $43 million out of our $200 million budget. That wasn't pleasant, but it had to be done. The thing is that we got ahead of it. We got ahead of it, and I'm just as pleased with the team as I can, because I mentioned who chaired those three committees, but there were members of the team, and all of them, in my judgment, responded and acted in such a glorious, wonderful fashion. I want to say that we have been fortunate, I think, because of some of the things that have happened since. We cannot do any real in-person private fundraising. So I task the deans, the chairs, the faculty, and others to work very hard in looking at federal support. We have gotten a great deal of federal support through the CARES Act, as well as other institutions. And I'm sure that all of you by now know about the $30 million that we got from Miss Mackenzie Scott. That was a godsend, because the fact is that we had not approached her. I did not know her. She had never been on campus as far as I know. What she did, as I understand it, they hired a firm to look at those institutions that were on her list. And as you know, there were some other historically black schools. I think Howard got 40 million, Tuskegee, Xavier, Morehouse, Spelman got 20 million, Hampton got 30 million. And they looked at the institutions and its leadership. That's what they printed, that's what they said in writing. And there were instances where they did not give to people because of what was going on at the institution and the leadership. I didn't know them. I didn't know them. And the fact is, before we made the announcement, I got to know them because we talked just about every day on the telephone. And we talked about things like how did we want the money? Did we want it in stocks or did we want it in cash? I said I wanted it in cash. And she sent it in cash. And the fact is, as I said to so many, it's not checks in the mail. The cash is here. And I'm just as pleased and thankful to God, to Ms. Scott, as I can be, because it's going to be transformational to Hampton. Now, we talked about, after we said that she was going to send it in cash, she wanted to know, did we want it right away or did we want it later? I said, send it now. Because to be very honest, at first I didn't believe it. Somebody that I didn't know, somebody that I had not approached, who said that they were going to give Hampton $30 million. but it's here. And I thank Ms. Scott very, very much because, as I said, for us as well as the others, she gave out, as I understand it, about $1.7 billion during that time. And that was after about a year of research in all the places that she had given. So it wasn't just luck. It was somebody that had looked at us and these other institutions and decided that this is what we wanted to do. We have also gotten support from some other areas. Um, Ernst & Young has given us $1 million. I'm going to talk a little bit later about some testing that we're going to do, but we've got money from some other people to help us with that testing. But let me tell you now what I plan to do with the money. And I say I, although I'm getting input from everybody. But in the written commentary to me, she said, this is under the sole discretion of the president. But I don't do things that way. I have consulted with the board. I've consulted with my administrative team. I've consulted with faculty, some students. I had a telephonic conversation with the president of the Student Government Association because that's what I do. I believe that people who have to live with decisions ought to have input into the decision-making process. Doesn't mean that their will shall prevail, but it does mean that they have some input. So here's what we're planning to do right now. I hope to finalize this within the next 10 days to 2 weeks, maybe even sooner than that. But this is the way I'm thinking right now. I want to put about $7 million into the proton beam cancer treatment center. Many of you know that we have the largest proton center in the entire world, and things are going well there now. Last week we saw a maximum of 72 patients per day. We averaged about 65 patients a day. I have asked one of our deans, Dean Hayes, the dean of the School of Business, to serve as the executive director. And the reason I asked her to serve in an interim capacity for a year at least is because of her management. You know, there are a whole lot of people that got opinions and theories and are experts at various things, but they aren't good managers. She is a terrific, terrific manager, and she has improved that center so drastically. That's number one. Number two, I want to put about $7 million into student scholarships. Now, I'll tell you that I got a little caveat there. I want us to be able to look at students with character, and I mean demonstrated character. I don't mean somebody say, I got character, or mom and pop say, he or she has character. I want demonstrated character. Why am I emphasizing that? Because that's what General Armstrong emphasized when he founded this outstanding place. He said in a speech in August of 1868 to students, there were two things he wanted to prioritize. One, he said, was a first-rate academic program. Today, that would be called workforce development. And two, he said the development of character. And he said of the two, character was more important. As the 12th president, I feel the same way. You know, and when he talked about character, I say the same things. The character traits of honesty, integrity, respect, trust, loyalty, good personal behavior. This is what our founder said he wanted our students to have. I want the same thing. And all of us know, not only our students, some of us who are in the administration, in the faculty, in the alumni, we don't exhibit that. Well, I want to try to see what little we can do to continue to preach that, to get back to that, because that's why this institution was founded. And I want to say something to you. If we get away from the standards and values that this institution was founded on, I don't think that we're going to be in existence very long. Why? As a private institution, we cost more than these public institutions all over the country, black and white. So we got to stand for something. And that old saying, if you don't stand for anything, you'll for something, you'll fall for anything. I believe that so very strongly. So I want to put about $7 million into scholarships for students who have demonstrated character. I'm also going to put $1 million for student emergencies. So many of students and others have emergencies. There may be some tragedy back home, or even, God forbid, a death or something, and they don't have any money to get home. Well, I'm going to have a 3-person committee that they'll look at that and then make that recommendation to me, and I'm going to go along with the recommendation. So we're going to put $1 million into that. I'm also going to put $1 million into something that an alum, and I believe, I think that came about. I don't remember the young lady's name, but when we had a Zoom with the alumni board, this young lady suggested that I have a video conference to those students. And I don't know her name, and I don't know if she's watching, but if she's watching, I wish that she'd just drop me a line so that I can know her name, who made that suggestion. I have done that. And I can tell you, I don't know if any of you have seen it, but I've heard from people literally all over this country. They have seen it, parents, students, others, and they seem to have liked what was said. But I want to thank the young lady who's on that board that made that suggestion, and I probably will be making more of those kinds of videos. I'm also going to put $1 million into legacy scholarships. Now, it's not going to be a lot. It's not going to be a lot, but it'll be a scholarship to help someone who is the offspring of someone that went to school here at Hampton. That's $1 million. $1 million is not going to last a long time, but it'll certainly help some people. Now, one of the things that we wanted to do so badly, and I physically went over and looked myself, we're going to redo some aspects of some of the dormitories. The bathrooms, for example, we're going to redo the bathrooms in Du Bois, in Stone, and in Ogden. We've already in Du Bois done, I believe, some renovations from the 6th through the top floors. We're going to do it from the 1st through the 5th floor, is what my instructions were, and hopefully that will happen. I also want to upgrade all of the laboratories here on campus because, in my judgment, not going by what anybody else says, there was a need because I like to go and, in effect, kick the tires, and I did that. And I went over to the buildings and I looked at them. And so what we're going to do is to probably spend somewhere between $2.5, $3.5, or $4 million in renovations of the laboratories in biology, chemistry, computer science, communicative science and disorders, nursing, and the schools of journalism and business. In business, we're going to have a finance lab, and then as you walk into the building, we're going to have something that's going to be quite impressive, I think, because it's going to look like you're on the floor of a trading room on Wall Street with the ticker tape running around the building. So we're going to do that with some of the money. We're going to put printers in each one of the dormitories. I'm going to increase the professional development of faculty. I'm also going to resurrect something that I started my second year here, institutional endowed professors. And what we're going to do there is I'm going to, those people that I choose with the recommendations of the deans, we're going to give them about $2,000 more than whatever their salaries are per year. Then I'm going to resurrect the named endowed scholarships, such as the Avalon scholarship in social science, such as the Old Dominion scholarship in humanities, such as the Gulf Oil scholarship in business, and so forth and so on. I have given some money for an endowed chair. I'm going to hold that right now because the others, I'm going to get the recommendations of the deans, and I'm going to put that money there. But what I've said is that I'd like to really bring in a real scholar from perhaps somewhere else, and then they will be able to sit figuratively in the William R. Harvey endowed chair. So we're going to do that as well. I mentioned a little earlier that we are putting $2.5 million into technological enhancements. And then there are some other little things that we're going to do. And I'm not going to spend all the money. I'm going to save some of it out for really a rainy day. And in some of the instances, such as the endowed student scholarships, it's going to be a quasi-endowment. And by the way, our endowment, when this pandemic hit, we lost from about $291 million down to $240 million. Our endowment now got back up to about $290 million, and with some of the money that I'm putting in, we are now over $300 million. And I want to tell you all that's a blessing. That's a blessing. There are so many good things that are going on, that are happening here at Hampton, including our wonderful alumni. I've said in a missive to all of you that we were able to raise more money ever before. Even though, as all of you know, there was confusion, a whole lot of junk going on, we raised over $3.5 million. And I want to thank Miss Brent Martin and her team for that, because we had never raised that kind of money before. And that reinforced my thinking, as I said in my correspondence. The vast majority of Hampton alumni love and support this institution. Now, realistically, all the action doesn't suggest that, but that is such a minority that we don't pay any attention to it. And I want to thank those alumni that gave, those alumni that supported us, as well as the alumni office, Ms. Martin and her team in that regard. Now, let me spend just a few minutes on one of the things that we're doing. I have indicated that I'd like to have Hampton to become a major testing center for this COVID-19. It is terrible. I don't have to tell you all that. It's terrible. I lost a boyhood friend yesterday from Birmingham, Alabama. He had just retired as a pharmacist. He and I were in kindergarten together, elementary school, junior high school, high school. He was a year behind me. We were the same age, but he was a year behind me. He followed us to Talladega, and then he went on to Texas Southern and got his pharmacy degree. Well, he had COVID-19, and unfortunately, he passed yesterday. I'm sure some of you know people, not only who tested positive, but who are no longer with us because of COVID-19. The fact is that in some of our neighborhoods, the African American neighborhoods, the Hispanic neighborhoods, some of the low income neighborhoods, there is an undercount. Even right now, even though we're only about 12 or 13% of the population, they say we've got 35% of the people that test positive. Many people say it's many more than that. What I want to do is to establish a major testing center here. And I want to tell you, we are probably 2 or 3 weeks from testing, starting this massive testing. Now, we didn't do it by ourselves, as is the case in most instances. There is a firm, a major firm called Thermo Fisher. They have given us about $2.3 million worth of new testing equipment. The Gates Foundation is giving us $1.5 million because I need to hire lab techs, a lab manager, I need to hire a courier, and things like that. We're also going to buy a mobile unit similar to a nursing unit we bought about 20 years ago. Basically, it's going to be a large Winnebago type that's going to be outfitted to be able to go to places in the rural areas like Surrey, to some of the African American, Hispanic areas, low income areas, um, and, and get the tests. And we are going to be able to do that. And then it's going to have the diagnostic testing um, in research too. Now, we were chosen to do the HBCUs in Virginia and West Virginia, which means that if they choose to come with us, because it's their choice, but we were chosen because Thermo Fisher is going to give the test kits to all of them. And that's Norfolk State, Virginia Union, Virginia State, West Virginia State, Bluefield State, and of course Hampton University. And we're going to be testing up to 2,000 tests a day. And what we hope to do is to be able to turn that testing around in between 48 and 72 hours. Some of you may know that now it's taking an inordinate amount of time. We hope to be able to do this in as rapid a fashion, and it's going to be first rate in every regard, and people are helping us. I said that the Gates Foundation is giving $1.5 million. Thermo Fisher is giving us 2.3. I've got money coming in from Dominion Resources, money coming in from a bank called Truist. That's a combination of BB&T and another bank that combined, and they're giving us money as well. I'm asking for. I haven't gotten an okay yet. I feel like I'm going to get it because I've talked to the mayor. I've talked to two of the mayors and city managers. We're going to try to get some CARES money because we're going to go into their neighborhoods and help them out. So what I'm saying is that as bad as things are, and they are bad, what we've tried to do is to take lemons and make lemonade, and we're doing that. And I hope that those of you who have had an opportunity to listen to some of the things that I've said today can appreciate what we're doing. We're not just sitting here saying, woe is me. And I want to tell you two other things. With the with the spring coming in, we're going to do everything we can because I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I hope that the vaccine is ready by then, but we're going to do what we can in that regard. Let me end with this. One of the things that I've said about the $30 million and some of the other money that we're getting, people are watching. They're watching you, they're watching me, they're watching Hampton. So make sure that everything you do is the epitome of what Hampton stands for. Now, I have lectured, I've written books on leadership. I've lectured at Harvard, I've lectured at Yale, I've lectured at William and Mary, Georgetown, Howard, a number of other institutions. The fact is that everybody's not going to like what you do. You know, you're going to always have critics. You're going to always have people that are going to applaud you. So the fact is, what you need to do is to make sure that what you do kind of stands the test of time. And that's what I want everybody to understand. People are always watching. Just like Miss Mackenzie Scott. Nobody knew her, but she was watching. And we are $30 million to the good as it relates to that. So as it relates to you, try to uphold the Hampton tradition. And number one, coming from the man that founded this place, is the development of character. So let me end with these three words. Be safe, be strong, be positive. Madam President, I turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much, President Harvey. Pleasure to hear from you, and thank you so much for the updates. We have some questions that are going to come in. So some of the questions I think may end up being NHAA related, and some may be HU related. So we'll just split them up. We'll tag team them. Okay?
That's great.
Okay, awesome. So the first question that we have coming in right now is from Brenda Mickles Foote, who's the class of 1974. Her question is for you, President Harvey. Since former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg has donated money to 5 HBCU med schools, is there some way to reach out to him for a generous donation to the HU Proton Therapy Institute because of the great medical service it provides? And also, how about Mayor Bloomberg's help with the pharmacy school?
Well, I can tell you the answer to that is we hope so. Um, I met yesterday with a group, and I had the same question because what we want to do is to ask. Um, my mother used to say that nothing fails but a try, but we talked about that Bloomberg gift. And by the way, I'm pleased that he's giving money, just like I'm pleased with it. I don't want to just say that Hampton is the only one getting it. I'm pleased that people now see the value of HBCUs. And one of the things that I start my letter out with, and by the way, I have written about 30 CEOs saying to them that HBCUs really have been the North Star for African Americans since we came here from Africa. And they need to support with scholarships and other things. I haven't heard from those letters yet, but we've got Mayor Bloomberg on the list, and we're going to be very specific with him as it relates to the the pharmacy school, and as it relates also to the Proton Therapy Institute. Let me make a comment about the pharmacy school because I like to tell the good, the bad, the ugly. Some of you may know that our pharmacy school is under some attack from the accrediting agency for accreditation. Well, we are actually taking that accrediting board to court. We've also filed a lawsuit because we think that there were some personal reasons as to why, because our pharmacists are doing well. We are doing well there, just like our nursing school. I got a report yesterday that 21 out of 22 of the graduates had passed the NCLEX. So we're doing well, and yet they withdrew the accreditation. So I just want to let you all know that because, as I said, I like to tell the good, the bad, the ugly, and we're going to move forward with that. I hope we can prevail. I don't know if we can, but I'm not going to take it laying down because we got great leadership by Dr. Iyer, who is the dean. Great leadership, and the faculty. I mean, really great leadership, and it's a shame that they have done that without any real merit. So we're going to take them to task on that. But on the Bloomberg, yes, we are going to try to. I met him a couple of times. I don't know him, but I'm going to try to see if I can get in to see him because a cold letter is one thing, but me looking him in the eye will be another.
Will this financial breakdown that Dr. Harvey is outlining be available to alumni after the conference?
I don't know about after the conference, but I am going to make it public once I make my final decisions. I don't, as I said when I started it, uh, I hope to be able to get the final things, and then I'll let my board know what I'm going to do, and then I'll make it public because I think that people should know what I'm doing with the money.
Awesome. Is there any consideration in establishing a scholarship program for current students with academic excellence and character who are upperclassmen, especially those who may not have received a merit scholarship as an incoming student, but have proven themselves at Hampton as deserving of scholarship based on GPA and character?
Well, the $7 or $8 million that I have allocated for students of character will be for incoming students as well as um, students that are here. Now, you need to understand, I'm going to put that into an endowment. So the whole $7 million won't be utilized. I'm looking to the future as well. So yes, they will be eligible just like students who are currently enrolled will be eligible for the emergency money, the $1 million emergency money. The legacy $1 million will start next year. But yes, they will be. But again, people need to understand we're not going to give out the full 8 million. I want to put that in a quasi endowment, and then we'll start with some money to the current students as well as the incoming students for next year.
Okay. And then the next question is First, thank you for your leadership, dedication, and commitment to Hampton University, particularly during these unprecedented times. Your vision and drive over the past 43 years has led our home by the sea to a national level of prominence amongst institutions of higher learning. Looking forward to the future of Hampton University, can you speak to the succession planning process for HU that will ensure that the excellent level of leadership and service HU has enjoyed over the past 43 years will continue well into the future? From Gerald M. Walker II, QT2 and Onyx. I can't count that much. Eight. Eight.
Well, thank you for the compliment. And I can say to you that I have been in contact with my board for about 2.5 years about succession planning. We're not making it public, so I won't be able to tell you exactly what that is, but we have a plan in place, and at the appropriate time, we will make it public. But my board and I have been talking really about 3 years, looking at that. What I hope we get the kind of leadership that this institution needs. Because again, I want everybody to understand that um, outside of my family, my immediate family, I love Hampton more than anything and anybody else. Now, that's a fact. That's a fact. And I hope that we can get leadership that will do that and understand that Hampton comes first and that Hampton is big and better than all of us, including the alumni, including the administration, including the students. It's the totality. But you got to be strong enough to understand that and do what is best and right for Hampton. And that's what I've been trying to talk to my board about. That's what we need. And that's what I hope that we get because clearly the team makes the dream. And all of the wonderful things that have happened at Hampton uh, came about because of the team. Yes, I am the team leader. And yes, I'm a strong team leader. Yes, I'm a strong manager. And I make no bones about that. But I could not have done this by myself. It is a team. And I think that other people recognize that. That's why we've had 17 of my officers go on to become CEOs of other institutions because people recognize that. And I hope that that can continue. And whenever it does, I'm still going to be around looking over, trying to make sure that they go in the right direction. Oh, okay.
Okay, great. Next question from Kenneth Dixon, graduating class of 88, giving class of 86. Dr. Harvey, are there any plans for Hampton to start a medical school at some point? Thank you for all you do, sir.
Not at the moment. I'll tell you what I've said to people. If I could get Bloomberg or Mackenzie Scott or somebody to give us about 100, $150 million, I would be open to it. But otherwise, no. And I'll tell you why I'm saying that. I do not want a second rate anything. If we do start a medical school, I want to be able to have the finances to support a first rate medical school. Now, we do have a number of science programs. We've got pharmacy, we've got nursing, we've got physical therapy, and we're talking about some other things, but not a medical school yet. But again, if I can get in to see some of these people, and by the way, I'm working through it, and I'm up now to a chief of staff of three billionaires. If I can get in to see them, that's why I say a cold letter doesn't work. I want to get in to see them and look them in the eyes and tell them about Hampton, what Hampton stands for, what we're about, and what we want to do. If some of them want to give that kind of money, yes. If I can't get that kind of money, I don't want a second rate anything, including the medical school.
Understood. All right, next question. Good afternoon. Is there any information that can be shared as to why the Department of Fine and Performing Arts has been voted to be phased out, especially when there is such a need to have more representation and diversity in these fields? And are they going to be replaced or combined with other departments? Thank you, Melissa Gray, class of 2003, graduate of the Fine and Performing Arts.
Well, yes, that department was phased out, and it was phased out. The recommendation came from that Financial Stabilization Committee, and I mentioned that they had retrenched some $43 million, and in that, some good things had to be combined, eliminated, including people. But one of the things that came to my attention that, and this is the only thing that I have changed from what they recommended, and I mean they being these three committees that I had, because I told them they had to give recommendations and that I did not plan to change anything. I did change one thing. A person can still major in theater because I wanted to be able to do that. So even though there's no longer a department, um, after I had some meetings with Dr. Ward, Dr. Haysbert, the dean, and others, I have reinstated that the fact that a person can major in theater, but the department was retrenched, and I have not changed that.
Okay. Thank you. This question comes from Leslie Johnson. Why didn't we take stocks versus cash?
Well, because the fact is, you remember I said that we had at one point $291 million dollars, and it went down to 240. Stocks are subject to the vagaries of the market. I could have gotten $30 million today, and it was down to 18 tomorrow. I didn't want to do that. I wanted the cash, and I think that that was probably the right thing to do, because we can now take the cash and buy some stock if we wish. And we're going to do that. We have a advisors, a firm called Cambridge Associates. It's the number one advisement firm in the country. They advise schools like Harvard and Yale and Hampton. And one of the things we're doing with our now $300 million, we're getting the cash because they don't know who's going to win the election. And they have advised that we get into cash because it could see a dip. We don't know. We don't know. But if we get into cash, we still have that. And then if it looks like things are going to get an uptick, then we can get back into stock. So we're going to keep some stock, but we're going to get into, we're going to eliminate, I think it's going to be about $25 million in stocks from our endowment, plus the money that I'm putting into the quasi endowment will be in cash as well. So, but that's the reason I did not want to see that downtick in the that can happen in the stock market. And as you all know, if anyone follows it, you know, it gains and it loses. I think one day last week it lost over 800 points. It also gained over 2,000 one day. So that up and down, I don't want for Hampton. I want a little bit more assured thing.
Got it. The next question is the golf team going to be reinstated since we received the $30 million blessing?
Not from the 30 million. One of the things we've said is that if there are those who want to provide support, Mr. Marshall, Gene Marshall, has been in touch with several trustees and a couple of alumni that have promised some money. We haven't gotten a penny yet, but if we get money to reinstate it, yes. But the 30 million will not go for the golf program. And just in case some of you don't know, uh, institutions all over the country are in the same shape we're in. We've Mary last week eliminated 7 sports. Other institutions have eliminated more than that, and we have eliminated just the golf. But we did that, and that was that committee. And I'm not opposed to what they did. I'm not opposed if somebody sends the money, and I'm not sure what it is, but I think over a 3-year period, it's about $6 million we need. That may be wrong. Mr. Mark will be able to give you the correct information, but none of the $30 million will go to the golf program.
Okay, thank you. I have a few more questions if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Will we ever go back to approving full tuition and room and board scholarships to compete in order to get the best students at Hampton?
I doubt it, but I want to offer an addendum to that statement. I think we're getting some pretty darn good students now, and what we've done is it was by design, because what we wanted to do is to reach more students. And for those of you that don't know, Hampton University last year, of its own budget, contributed about $31 million to scholarships. That's more than any HBCU, any Caucasian institution that I know of. Now, I'm not talking about federal money. I'm not talking about loans. I'm talking about Hampton money. $30 million a year is a lot. And what we did was to say that we would prefer to give that $30 million to more people than the $30 million to half the number if we went and gave them full room, board, and tuition. We do provide room tuition for people at certain levels. We do provide full tuition to people who make certain scores and things like that, but it is not for everybody.
Got it. The next question is, will the HU physician or medical alumni groups be specifically apprised or involved with Hampton's COVID-19 testing efforts? And will the university be involved or be a recruitment site for any of the COVID-19 vaccine studies?
Let me offer a recommendation now. Anybody who is associated in any fashion can always provide recommendations. We're looking right now for a medical director. If anybody knows of an MD that they would like for us to consider, let us know. Let us know. The last medical director left. She was terrific. She went down to Winston-Salem because she's from there, and her mother and father are getting up in age, I understand, and they were not doing well. Although her daughter is a student here, she and her husband left, and I hated that because she was terrific. So we are looking, even as we speak, for a medical director. I'm also looking for a medical personnel to work with the testing, because I mentioned the lab manager, the lab techs, and we're going to need a medical director as well. That doesn't need to be a full-time position, but if there's anybody that will know of anybody that can help, send me or to Dr. Barbara Inman, because it's going to report to her from the medical director. But we're looking for a good person right now.
Awesome. And all right, we have another question. How is Hampton supporting voter registration for students, even though they are virtual at the moment? That's from Satrina White Boyce, class of 91.
I really don't know. And with students not here, we have a very robust one when students are here. When they aren't here, I don't know whether or not anything is specifically targeted with that or not, because what we do with students are here. Well, there's a lot that we do, and you can see it and when we go to vote, because students are lined around the corner. But I just don't know if there's anything going on now, because faculty members are teaching from home, and we don't have any students here. That's just a straightforward answer. I don't know.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other, I don't see any other questions. I'm just going to ask the people in the little box that keep sending me the questions to see if there's any additional to come through. All right, I don't think we have any other questions, so I'll take this time to thank you again, Dr. Harvey, for taking the time on your Saturday afternoon to join us and share with us the updates about the university. Again, really appreciate you being here with our first virtual biennial. You attend all the other biennials, so I'm really happy that we were able to keep this tradition going for this year.
Well, let me thank you for your leadership. Let me thank the members of your board. Let me thank the alumni, because you are an integral part of Hampton, And I want you to continue to do, as I said, be safe, be strong, and be positive.
Yes, you too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.